Hello and welcome to Common Ground, an inside look at Suffolk County. I'm your host, Seth McCoy. On the first half, we have Rich Cuthie from the Chelsea Chamber of Commerce. The Chelsea Chamber is the oldest and largest business-oriented group in Chelsea. They both serve as an advocate and partner to the varying companies that call the city home. And on the second half of the show, we will introduce you to Christopher Beiner, the Interim Executive Director of Boston Centers for Youth and Families. At BCYF, they offer a wide range of affordable programs, including preschool, school-aged and adult education, family literacy, youth employment, and violence prevention and intervention. They operate 35 facilities located throughout the city of Boston. Stay tuned. And joining me now is Rich Cuthie, Executive Director of the Chelsea Chamber of Commerce. Rich, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So tell me what the role of the Chelsea Chamber is.
The role of the Chamber of Commerce, like many chambers, is really to support the businesses and organizations that are members of the chamber, and also to advocate for the business climate of Chelsea as a whole.
How many members do you have right now?
We're a little over 200.
It's a pretty good number.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you advocate for on their behalf?
Well, we might go up to City Hall to talk to the city manager and the city council about, let's say, property taxes for commercial properties. The trans fat bill, what is that going to do to restaurants in Chelsea? Those kinds of things. So with government, that's what we would do.
Right. So you really obviously serve as an advocate for all business owners, and their issues could be big or small, it could be legislative, it could be, something with licensing or things like that.
Exactly.
Who's the president of the chamber?
The president for 2015 and 2014 is Dennis Cataldo of Cataldo Ambulance. Yes,
I was looking at the information on the chamber, and I saw that, and I said, well, that's a name I know, because of course driving around anywhere in the greater Boston area you see Cataldo ambulances.
Absolutely.
So he must be pretty busy in all different chambers.
He is a very, very busy man.
That is, I can imagine so, but he must be a good person to have on board for you guys.
Absolutely. I mean, because he and Cataldo belong to so many chambers, he can really share the best practices of other chambers with us,
right.
Give us new ideas. I mean, we're small Chelsea's smallest chamber,
yep.
So it's always great to hear what the big boys are doing.
Absolutely. Talk about the business diversity in Chelsea. I mean, obviously Chelsea has a diverse population, so I would imagine that the businesses there must be equally diverse?
Absolutely. I mean, there are businesses that I'm always still surprised to find exist in Chelsea. Very soon, we're probably going to be a hospitality hub. We've got 2 hotels.
Not to cut you off,
yeah.
But I was actually surprised. I had no idea there were hotels in Chelsea.
And just wait. 5 years from now, there's probably going to be 7 hotels, 6 or 7 hotels in Chelsea.
And why is that? Why is there this?
Oh, the proximity to Logan and to downtown Boston and to Route 1, wherever you want to go, we're right there.
Right.
And, you can have a really sweet hotel room in Chelsea for half the price that you're going to pay in downtown Boston.
Very true, and you can get into the city quite easily.
Absolutely, and when the Silver Line comes, it's going to make it that much easier.
Is the Silver Line going all the way?
All the way.
Wow.
Right to Chelsea.
So see, that's going to actually bring a lot of people into into Chelsea. So that's great.
Should be able to get on Silver Line at the airport and be at your hotel in 20 minutes.
So speaking of that, are you going to? And this is just me thinking about the opportunity that would be for Chelsea. Are you going to start marketing maybe in like subways and bus stops to say, come to Chelsea, visit Chelsea, here are things to do in Chelsea?
It's something we've discussed. I've started designing an ad that we were thinking about putting up in Logan.
Yeah.
It's driven by budget, of course,
yeah.
But I think we'll find more partnerships with our members, with hospitality industry members, and maybe move in that direction.
So I cut you off though when we were talking about the diverse businesses. So other than hotels.
Other than hotels, I mean, obviously, every time you bite into an apple or dice a red pepper, it's probably coming through Chelsea. We've got the New England Produce Mart and so many other companies that aren't actually in the produce center. So that's a big thing. There's a lot of back office support for businesses at the airport or downtown. We talked about the hotels and hospitality, and there's always hidden little gems to find, like really high-end metal manufacturers that are sending product to Saudi Arabia and Qatar. When they're building their high-end hotels over there, some of that product has been made here and shipped there.
Really?
So it's always a surprise of what's in Chelsea.
And a lot of different restaurants?
A lot of different restaurants. We need more restaurants, though. So, if you're watching this, come to Chelsea.
Talk to Rich and figure out where the real estate is. Is that something actually that you would do too if somebody wants to open a restaurant or some other type of business? Could they come to the chamber and sort of seek guidance?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We could tell them what they're going to need from City Hall, from permitting and all that kind of stuff. We'll take them on a tour, look at sites. Absolutely.
And then hopefully they become a member.
Well, yes, that goes without saying.
That would be. What are some of the benefits of being a member to the chamber?
Well, it's not like, do you remember that movie, was it Pleasantville, where the chamber was the moral guidance for
Right.
it's not that. But, I think first and foremost, there's trust and credibility when you're a member. It shows the people who are buying from you that you're not just operating in the community to make a buck and go elsewhere. You're investing in the community as well. Right. Certainly exposure. I do everything I can to promote every single one of our members. Yeah. And to get them connected so that maybe they become customers of each other, which happens frequently.
Right. And they can do cross promotion.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And recommendations, when somebody calls the chamber and says, hey, do you have a HVAC company that you could recommend for me? Because on a hot day like today, then we recommend our members to the public.
And you have a website, so that's another way for people to be reached out to.
Absolutely.
That's obviously how I did some of my research, was looking at the website and seeing the different businesses and all the other features on the website. So yeah, it's obviously, we're in 2014, so everybody, or most everybody, has a web presence. So that's a good tool to have.
Absolutely.
So, not to knock Chelsea, but Chelsea
bring
does.
Bring it on. We're used to it.
Chelsea does have a little bit of a reputation, if you will. So, how do you combat that kind of notion that Chelsea really isn't the place to go unless you just happen to have to go through it to get somewhere else?
Rudely, no.
Which is fine.
You've got to focus on the positive.
Yeah.
If you were to look at all the articles written about Chelsea and what's happening in Chelsea over the past year in just the Boston Globe and Boston Herald, it's like people are making their comments about Chelsea based on perceptions from 20, 30 years ago,
right.
and they haven't been back to Chelsea.
Right.
The people that are coming to Chelsea now, one north of Boston, luxury apartments. There's a second phase of that that's going to be starting. The 230 are already fully rented. Wow. These people are coming up from D.C. and North Carolina. They're doctors and lawyers, and they're getting, a beautiful luxury apartment in Chelsea. People don't believe that exists in Chelsea.
I was going to say,
but it
I
does.
didn't know that. Right. I mean, similar to the
and there's
hotels.
going to be 230 more of them coming up.
Wow.
So.
Well, and you bring up a good point, because rather than spending the crazy rents in the city of Boston, you can go to Chelsea, still be close enough to get into town if you work in the city.
A block from the commuter rail,
right
into North Station. So, there's the old perceptions. We're always going to battle them.
Right.
I hate to say, the redheaded stepchild analogy. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen, but we just focus on the positive and promote all the new things that are happening. And we've got, we're getting new residents, new businesses coming into town. Right. Businesses bring in Chelsea some bling too. Golden Cannoli just won Small Business of the Year award from the SBA for Massachusetts. We have our own brewery, Mystic Brewery.
Really?
Award-winning brew.
Do they do tours?
They absolutely do tours. And they have a tasting room.
Can we leave now to go do a tour?
Let's go.
I'm kidding. See, these are things that, it's great to have you here talking about this, because obviously not that I know everything, but I had no idea that there was a brewery in Chelsea. I don't
Gold
think
medal at a Great American Beer Fest in Denver last summer.
Really? What are some of the other hidden gems that are in Chelsea that people might not be aware of?
I think, I think people are aware that there's a large Hispanic population in Chelsea. So if, like me, you are a lover of the burrito and the taco and the sope, that's the place to go.
Yeah.
A couple months ago, Boston Globe did an article. They listed the 9 top places to get tacos in Metro Boston.
Yeah.
2 of them were from Chelsea, no surprise. So the food is definitely a great asset, and there's a lot of hidden, Kate's Bagels. I don't know if you're familiar with Kate's Bagels.
No.
Absolute institution going back decades and decades and decades, and there was just an article in the Globe, I think today, where Richard Cates says he invented the pizza bagel.
Really?
And people have been going there at 5 o'clock in the morning after a big weekend out
Yep.
for decades. So there are hidden little things, and they might not be as pretty as in the south end of the Back Bay.
Right.
But we've got some good stuff going on.
But it does sound like with all the stuff that is happening there, that Chelsea is an up and coming community that 5 years from now might be the spot where people are dying to get into, as opposed to like, ugh, Chelsea.
It was happening before in the mid 2000s until
Everything crashed.
the real estate went a little bit before the credit crisis, but yeah. But we're back in that swing. Right now, Chelsea is the second hottest real estate market in Massachusetts. So I think we're headed that way again.
See, and this is, again, it's great to have you on here to talk about that, because like me, I'm sure there are people at home who, even if they live in Chelsea, might not realize what's actually happening in their community. So it's all good stuff and good to hear. So I think it's fantastic. So how are some of the ways that you do some outreach to the community and to the business owners?
A lot on foot. I go and visit them and see what their needs are. I tell people, think of the chamber as a Swiss Army knife. What is it that your business needs to improve and succeed? And if it's not something that we can offer personally, we'll connect you. We'll get you a counselor from SCORE, Service Corps of Retired Executives. They worked with Golden Cannoli. Maybe lending from the SBA, introduce you to the bank presidents of the banks that are in Chelsea, that type of thing. So whatever it is you need, maybe we need to have a round table, get all the restaurants together, and have a round table over a particular item, or all the property owners along Broadway, something that's affecting them, have a round table around that particular issue.
So is Broadway the main thoroughfare where?
Well, Broadway's the oldest. But there are different parts of town. We've got shopping centers on the Revere line, and we have the Market Basket Plaza. Broadway is still, it's the old shopping district, and it needs some help, and we're really working hard to bring it up.
How do you balance some of the older business needs versus the newer businesses that are coming in? I don't know. I would assume, but I don't want to make that assumption, that there may have been at times issues between old businesses versus newer businesses coming in, like whether it's competition or the types of businesses coming into the community.
Well, we're lucky. A Walmart hasn't landed on us.
Thank goodness.
So
editorial comment there.
Of course, we'd love your dues membership anyway.
As long as you're located outside of Chelsea.
It goes back to the population.
Yeah.
Chelsea is the smallest city in Massachusetts by land area and the 27th most densely populated city in the country. We don't have a whole lot of parking. So a lot of people don't have cars, they have to walk. So there are, if you look at Broadway, when I look out my window, it's like Manhattan, so many people walking, boom, 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 boom. So the traffic is there. And a lot of those people are going to shop at places they can walk to instead of having to drive to the shopping plaza down there. There is some coexisting going on. And there are people who still like the mom and pop feel of doing your shopping that way.
Yeah. I'm going to have to spend some time in Chelsea. This is making me rethink.
I will take you on a tour.
Tell me what a typical day for you is like. I mean, you must not be able to really plan your days. I mean, some things you might have planned out, but I can just imagine that things must pop up randomly.
It's definitely random. I mean, it starts when I leave the house, and then I bump into somebody on the street and says, "Oh, but da 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 da," you know, and then I get to the office, and you know, it all starts there.
Yeah.
And you know, it depends on the season. Summer was a little bit of a break. That was great. A lot of people are on vacation, but we're coming into our busy season now.
I know. I was looking at the website, like I said, and there you have so many events that start up, I think, in the second week of September.
September 20, second week in September, yes. So September 15th is Taste of Chelsea,
Yes.
which is one of the biggest events in Chelsea. I think usually it's around 800 people. And last year was its first time in a new venue. It's a gorgeous new park right on the water under two huge tents with the setting sun and the silhouette of the Tobin Bridge. It's a really great time, and that's to benefit Harbor Cove and their work against domestic violence. That's the beneficiary of that.
And you also mentioned before we went on that there's a Kite Festival coming up.
Yes, I think it's September 13th. Mary O'Malley Park is one of the, you talked about hidden gems.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous 15.5 acre waterfront park, and every year the Friends of Mary O'Malley Park put on a free kite festival. And you know, if you've got a day with a good breeze, what's more calming and relaxing than you know, lying there in the grass and just flying a kite?
How many people usually go to that?
Over the course of the afternoon, I mean, it could be a couple hundred. It kind of spreads out. It's becoming more popular, I think, now. I think for a while, I think people thought it was only for kids, and now I'm seeing people who are kids at heart coming in and flying a kite.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about the Spotlight Chelsea ad.
Well, that was an ad that I created to go into Terminal A at Logan, and unfortunately, they require a file format that I couldn't get to them within the time frame for running it. So, but I think it's a great ad. I think it showcases the things that people don't expect to find in Chelsea.
Yeah.
I believe there is a Kite Festival picture in there, and a Mystic Brewery photo as well.
Yeah. We actually have it on the screen right now.
Oh, great.
So it's a very nice ad.
So I think, people expect the grit and the grim, and that is not what Chelsea is all about. So that was the point, and it highlights the proximity to Logan. So I'm hoping that they'll make the offer to put it back in the airport, and I'll get it in the right file format by then.
That would be great. And like you said, there are reasons for people to go there, and an ad like this will help draw more people there.
It'll let them know they're almost there.
Absolutely, as the ad says. So we started talking about upcoming events, but there are a slew of them. So tell me some more.
Our annual government breakfast is on September 24th. And the speakers are going to be Chelsea's two new state representatives, Danny Ryan and Rosalie Vincent. And we're going to basically just have them go through what they've learned in their first months on Beacon Hill and talk about some of the hot topic issues, like the minimum wage law. And those are things that are really going to affect businesses. So we want to hear how they saw it from where they sit.
Yeah. Were there a lot of people, and we don't need to really get into a political debate, but were there a lot of businesses who were really concerned about the minimum wage law?
I had a few calls. They'd let me know where they stand, but there's both sides of that coin. Chelsea being Chelsea, we also have in addition to business members, we have a lot of organizations, nonprofit organizations that are a member of the chamber. We try to help them get their message and their word out. So, we have Chelsea Collaborative, which is fighting, to raise the minimum wage. On one side, whereas somebody who, runs a retail store might say, it's not something I'm in favor of.
Right, exactly. But it is what it is. So the Small Business Saturday is coming up in a couple months, November
29th this year, I believe, right after Black Friday.
So what does that entail for people?
Well, it's put on by American Express, as you know from when you see all the commercials. And because Chelsea is so small and has so much small business, it's really an opportunity for people who may not shop Broadway and have been favoring, the shopping center. Take a trip down Broadway, find a little store that maybe you didn't know was there, that has has something you need and want.
This is probably one of the, in my opinion, one of the most important shopping days around, because it really does focus on the small business owner. You know, a lot of times people are talking about keeping everything local and making sure, but then they turn around and go to a big retailer.
Yeah.
So that Saturday is really something to focus on. And like you said, if there might just be small trinkets that you need for the holiday season. And
there's a great graphic from the American Express campaign about that. For every dollar that's spent locally, how much of that stays in the community versus if you shop at a big box store.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's important to do the local shopping.
And
so.
I like to walk, so.
Exactly.
And you can do it. I mean, if you live in Chelsea, you can do it walking.
Right.
Depending on how much you buy.
Very true. And you know what? Even if you don't live in Chelsea, if you either take public transportation or even drive there, you can park your car at one end, walk down, and then walk back to your car.
Exactly.
Get some exercise while you're doing your shopping. The October 22nd, you have a Pot of Gold dinner.
Our biggest fundraiser of the year. That's where the money comes to pay yours truly. So,
everybody has to go to that.
Absolutely. So we're doing a casino theme this year, and it's going to be at Anthony's in Malden. In addition to dinner, you have the chance to win $10,000 cold cash money.
I should go to that. Maybe I'll win.
I don't have a ticket on me, but.
But that would be good if I went and won. That
Absolutely.
would be amazing. I want to go back a little bit to the Taste of Chelsea, because obviously that is coming up in a couple weeks.
Right.
How are the restaurants selected to be part of the event?
Well, there's a committee of which I'm not a part this year that solicits a lot of this is I think the 11th annual Taste of Chelsea. So a lot of the restaurants have been participating for years and years and years and really supporting the cause. So it's the committee that decides, but they come from Chelsea and beyond. Revere, Winthrop, all over our little part of the North Shore.
And it's from 5 to 8.
5 to 8.
Excellent. And rain or shine?
Rain or shine, and that's the reason for the big tents.
Absolutely. What is the one thing you want people at home to know about the Chamber of Commerce?
About the Chamber of Commerce, the one thing I would want them to know is it can be a little Mad Men-y, 1950s, 1960s when people think about the Chamber.
Yep.
Most chambers were formed a long time ago, ours in 1931. But we have a modern purpose, and we're not stodgy old white guys.
Right.
And yes, we're trying to support business, but we're also trying to do good in the community, and have that connection and that involvement.
Yeah. How do you give back to the community?
Well, certainly through all the things that we support.
Right.
We don't support everything financially.
Right.
We don't have the budget to write a check to, for every letter that comes in. But when our members are having an event, helping them with the advertising, with just sweat equity, legwork, and really supporting them in their endeavors. But one thing we do in December, first Saturday in December, we do Breakfast with Santa.
Oh.
And usually every year, somewhere between 600 and 800 kids get a free breakfast, photo with Santa, and and some presents to take home. So we can't write a check for everything, but there are some events where we are really just directly giving to the community.
That's a huge event. Where is that held?
That is held at the Williams School in Chelsea.
Wow, 600. Wow.
It's a lot of pancakes.
Do you play Santa?
I don't. I know. I mean, casting, right?
Seriously, that's what I'm thinking.
No, Bruce Mock from Chelsea. I hope no kids are watching. Bruce Mock from Chelsea Clock has played Santa, as well as Joe Vennard from Chelsea Bank. Wow. I'm probably on the short list, though.
I know. I could see you stepping into that role quite easily. Absolutely. So if people, business owners, wanted to get involved with the Chamber, how do they get in touch with you?
They can call our office. I assume the contact info is going up there. Shoot me an email, Twitter, Facebook.
Let's talk about actually social media before we wrap up. So that obviously has changed everything. Do you encourage the business owners in Chelsea to get a Facebook page, to do Twitter, just so that they can get their messages out there?
Absolutely, absolutely. And with A lot of Hispanic businesses, they might not have computers.
Right.
They do a lot with their cell phone. There are a lot of businesses in Chelsea that have zero web presence whatsoever, and that's a constant thing of trying to encourage businesses.
Right.
Whether they're members or not members, you need to have a presence out there so people can find you.
Right.
You can't just open your door and say I'm open and wait for business.
And that must be especially hard to kind of drill into newer business owners who, it's one thing if you've had an established business for 20 years that you might not see the value in having a web presence, but there are some newer business owners who are like, I don't need a website, I don't need to do this, it's, I'll just open up and people will know I'm here. So it must be a challenge to kind of...
It is, and you kind of want to say, good luck with that, but take out your phone and show them other businesses that are on the same block, that are farther down the street, and what they're doing, how they're letting people know that they have a sale. When so-and-so likes a certain store on Facebook, and then their friend sees it, they're like, oh, I don't even know about that store. I'll like it too, and follow for a while and see what they're all about. So social media it's not going away.
No.
It can be annoying, but it's not going away.
Well, and I think you bring up a good point too, not about the annoying issues with social media, but you don't even really need to put any money into building a website. You can simply get a Facebook page, which doesn't cost anything.
Absolutely.
And then you have a web presence. And there are a lot of businesses who do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cost effectiveness of it cannot be overrated.
Right, absolutely. That's probably the most important message to business owners. Have a web presence, or at least that's my 2 cents. I want to thank you so much for being here, Rich. It's been great to hear about Chelsea. I'm definitely going to spend some time there. My better half, he's spent some time in Chelsea. Now I'm going to have to make him take me so I can. We'll have to find a vegan restaurant though. I think that might be something I can work with some of the restaurants, but we should get a vegan spot in Chelsea.
I'm sure we have one. We'll find it for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And stay tuned. We will be right back.